Follow, like, subscribe. It's Victory Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get this shit show going.
Oh, yeah.
Happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Birds, Beers, and BS here on the AT Sports Network. It is the day after reaction show here with myself and Peanut. A little weird, Peanut. We're not in the same room.
I know.
I'm kind of missing you here over here, but look.
I know. We had some technical differences, but we're on. So a sober one too. No drinking. I'm drinking water, lots of it.
How can we call a show Birds, Beers, and BS if you're fucking drinking water, dude?
I know, man. This might be a total shit show without the alcohol.
No, it's gonna be a boring shit show without the alcohol.
See, you enable me. You enable me. Nah, but listen, we got a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly when it came to the Philadelphia Eagles overcoming the Detroit Lions yesterday, 38-35. But we'll get into that just momentarily. Let's dive in and pay some bills real quick. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Stuff to the Grills in Allentown. They are located off the Iroquois Shopping Center, or Iroquois Trail in the Old Town Shopping Center in Allentown. You can order by calling 484-274-6760 or visit stufftothegrills.com for their full menu and specials. Or like we said before, if you have any upcoming birthdays, picnics, family gatherings, or just need food for your family, they do catering orders. So make sure to hit them up. Again, 484-274-6760 or visit stufftothegrills.com. Tell them the AET Sports Network crew sent you on over. I'd like to also thank our friends at Vinny's Pizza and Restaurant in Allentown. They are available for takeout or delivery at 610-395-2300 or visit vinnyspizzapa.com. They are located off the Iroquois Trail in the Old Town Shopping Center as well in Allentown. So again, they have daily and game day specials for you, especially at football here, college football, NFL tonight, Monday Night Football with the Seahawks and the Denver Broncos. You need some grub, you need some food, hit up Vinny's Pizza and Restaurant again in Allentown. But look, let's get right down to it, Peanut. Look, we're talking about an Eagles victory as they edge out to Detroit Lions, 38-35. There's some good to talk about, there's some bad to talk about, and there's some ugly things to talk about. So I'll let you go first. Tell me, give me your initial thoughts on yesterday's victory. All right, well, you know what? Let's start with the good. The good is Jalen Hurts looks like he's improved as a passer. The good is also that this run game seems like it hasn't taken a step back this year. That was the good aspect of it. Jeff, you were actually kind of right on your predictions, except for the whole blowout thing, but you did predict a high-scoring game, so I'll give you that. I predicted a low-scoring game with a lot of mistakes. I was wrong on the scoring, but I was right with the mistakes. But for the good, this team, offensively speaking, looks like they can move the ball. Where there are a couple hiccups here and there, of course, it's the first game. The preseason, not having those preseason games obviously makes the first game sloppy, but someone's got to win the game. So that would be the good. You know, let's go good, bad, ugly. So why don't you tell me some of the good aspects that you've seen during yesterday's game?
I'll say the one thing I definitely agree with you with is Jalen Hurts. He was the difference maker in this game for the Philadelphia Eagles. Look, going into this year, he's going to be dissected and criticized, and we're going to try to figure out the good and the bad and the ugly with him every single game because we do not know what the future beholds. And overall, he played a decent game. I'll say we saw a Jalen Hurts. Granted, it was a little bit rusty. There was a few short throws. He looked like Donovan McNabb out there, where he just
I would say where he couldn't his delivery out, or it was at a guy's feet, which a lot of that was the protection up front. I would say Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions, did a tremendous job. He said going into this week that he was not going to let Jalen Hurts feel comfortable in the pocket, which you saw very early on. You saw a lot of different various blitz packages. You saw different style defenses that Aaron Glenn was trying to give Jalen Hurts and this Eagles offense, and I will give them credit. Look, this was an offense, like you said, that was able to move the football up and down the football field. Yeah, there was a point where, look, they were struggling, but you're going to have that rust, I feel. And I said it in our pregame show on Friday, that this was going to be a game where I feel we're going to try to knock some of the rust off offensively, especially since they didn't play most of the preseason. They played one series in the preseason. So once they got things clicking, you saw what this offense was able to do. And you saw that they were able to have those in-game adjustments a little bit to try to negate the different blitz packages and the pass rush from the Detroit Lions. And I understand everyone's complaining, and they look at the stat line. You look at the stat line, and you see, where is it? Look, you look at the rushing. Everyone's looking at the one stat: 17 carries by Jalen Hurts for 90 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
Look. And everyone wants to look at the game tape. Look at what
I was just going to say the same thing.
Yep. Everyone wants to say, "Well, Jalen Hurts is running too much."
He had to.
Exactly. It's not a design run. It's not like Steichen and Sirianni are putting Jalen Hurts' body on the line. It's what the defense is giving him. Look, he's still from what you saw. You still saw him stand in the pocket. There was nothing there. The pressure is being brought, so he darted off, which is a completely different Jalen Hurts that we saw from last season. Jalen Hurts last year, he would dart right away. He wouldn't care. He would read the defense before the snap of the ball, and he would decide before the snap of the ball what he was doing with the football.
Yeah, and you know what? With the play action, the way they were running the play action, we played right into Detroit's defense, man. It didn't give him much time to even have a read. So people that watch the game, we seen the game together. We noticed the same thing. Look, shout out to Detroit. That defense came to play. That defensive coach knew exactly what he's trying to do. And shout out to Jalen Hurts, man. He came out with a pretty clean game. You know what I mean?
I'll say overall clean game. We saw him deliver some darts. That pass to AJ Brown. I forget which drive was order, but it was like on the dime. Like literally, he tossed it. It was right where AJ Brown was, where he could get the football, which is something that we did not see much last season from Jalen Hurts. The one thing I would definitely, which the Detroit Lions had no answer for, was the fact that he got AJ Brown so involved in the offense. I kind of wish that he was able to that he would find a way to spread the football around a little bit more. Look, Devontae Smith, he was shut out in this game.
Yeah.
What's going to the one thing going forward against some of the better defenses is what's going to happen if these opposing defenses find a way to shut down AJ Brown in this offense. Granted, I would say Dallas Goedert was able to have some some decent plays later on in the game, and like you brought up before, the running game was dominant.
Yeah, I think they had 4 different rushers scored touchdowns.
Over 200 yards rushing on 39 carries. That's with Jalen Hurts' carries, and 4 different scorers got a touchdown on the ground. So Sanders 13 carries, 96 yards and a touchdown. His first touchdown in almost 2 seasons.
He's got one more than he had last year, right?
For a guy that's in a contract here, I'll say he's kind of happy with his start of his season. But look, I'll say Jalen Hurts going forward. I'm not saying he's the guy just yet. It's still too early to tell. We're only 1 game in. And again, it's against a rebuilding Detroit Lions defense and a rebuilding Detroit Lions team. And this was also a team that still allowed the Detroit Lions to get back into it at the end of the game. So I'll say offensively, they still put up 38 points, but they were shut out in the fourth quarter, and there's some points I felt that were left off the board. So, I'll say, like you have any other thoughts?
No, I think you solidified what I was thinking about the offense. Now let's get into the bad, because there were a couple bad things, and my bad would honestly the run defense, man. Where was it? Because it looked like those guys didn't come to play. You know what I'm saying? For some odd reason, they were just gashing us, and it got to the point where we got to start what's the problem? And you look at the middle of the field, you got Hargrave and you got Cox. Are those guys starting to become our weak links? Are those or did we not play Davis enough? Or is it just as a scheme itself that we messed up on? So my bad goes to the run defense.
Not just the run defense. I feel the defense as a whole.
Yeah.
I say defensively, early on, you saw some bright spots. Granted, the Detroit Lions were able to go down the field in that first drive and get the touchdown, like you said, gashing them. I feel it's just trying to get those in-game adjustments. And I'll say Jonathan Gannon, or I'll say we saw a little bit more blitz packages than what we saw last season, which I'll say is a turn in the positive in the right direction, thankfully.
Yeah.
But still, they still have to figure things out with their defensive front and their defensive scheme, because I understand Jonathan Gannon. He's trying to figure things out. He's trying to design different type of packages and different type of schemes. But you have to go with what works. You have to work to your strengths. And you saw when Jordan Davis, the fact that he was only out there for 23 plays.
Yeah, they said like 29% or something of the snaps.
Yeah, it was a low percentage snap, which I get it. They're a defense that likes rotating their defensive linemen in. They like keeping their guys fresh. But I would say you would think they would try to use them a little bit more on early rushing downs. The fact that after this game, you saw the stat line that when Jordan Davis was out there, the Detroit Lions only rushed for 2.9 yards. When they didn't have that out there, the Detroit Lions were averaging 10 yards a carry. Yeah. So you obviously see the impact that Jordan Davis can be as a rookie in his first game against an offense that knows how to run the football with DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams, and they go up against they go up against a tough task next week when they at home against the Minnesota Vikings and Dalvin Cook. Yes. So I'll say the rushing defense, they have to fix things up. It's whether. I don't know if it's just Jordan Davis. I'll say he just had big body in the scheme that they were using him in. You saw a lot more of him in a 5-man front, which they're able to clog those holes a lot quicker. He's able to, with this big body, open things up for the rest of that defensive line to get in there and make the play. And our linebackers, the one positive thing I will give from the defense was definitely Kyzir White.
He was everywhere.
He was a guy, that this preseason and in training camp and in practices, you've been hearing his name.
Yeah.
And yesterday he had maybe not the best stat line or the best stat line when it comes to the stat sheet, but he's still making an impact. You saw him making tackles early on early drives and for this defense to force the Lions to second, third, and longs. You saw him tipping passes. I think that led to the Bradbury interception for the touchdown. So look, he's a guy that we have been wanting for quite some time from our linebacking core, a guy that can be a playmaker and make plays for this defense. And one guy I was surprised to see, where the hell has he been his entire career? He's entering his 4th or 5th season? It's fucking Marcus Epps.
Yeah.
He might be liability coverage, but dude, that dude can hit, and that dude can tackle someone. So the fact that we haven't found a use for him in our blitz packages or our defensive scheme, and the fact that he's finally getting an opportunity, I'm not saying he's going to be Brian Dawkins, but look, he's making an early impact in this season, especially on this fan base.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's perfectly said. Kyzir White was a positive on that defense. Even the defensive backs at times, the problem is that the pass rush wasn't getting there. The run was gashing us. So it trickles down.
Which is astonishing. Mm-hmm. The fact that we have probably the highest paid defensive front in the National Football League, not just this year, but I'm pretty sure in history. The fact that we have the highest paid defensive line in NFL history, and we can only manage 1 sack on Jared Goff.
Yeah,
I understand. Later on, we saw once we saw a guy in that lead, we saw a little bit more of the prevent defense. We saw them just trying to get pressure from their front four. But the fact that they weren't able to hit home, and I felt they weren't able to rattle Jared Goff too much, and they allowed the Detroit Lions to get in too much of a rhythm, which is what allowed the Detroit Lions to get back in this football game. The fact that the Detroit Lions on 3rd down. Let me see the stat sheet. 3rd downs, the Detroit Lions were 9 of 14. The fact that they were over 50% on 3rd down is not a good number for a defense that we're expected to be improved against an offense
that isn't like next week's matchup when we have to go up against Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen and Dalvin Cook. Yeah, Kirk Cousins might not be the greatest quarterback, but he's an Eagle killer. We went up against Jared Goff, and yeah, Jared Goff's stat line ain't the prettiest. He struggled early on, but he picked things up. 21 of 37, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the interception that was returned for a touchdown. The Detroit Lions are the ones that cost themselves this football game. That turnover that was the pick 6, and right before halftime, people seem to forget this. The fact that the Detroit Lions didn't run a lot of the clock that they could have ran out. The Eagles were going to let them run as much of the clock out, I think. The Eagles weren't calling a timeout. I think the Detroit Lions on their 4th down punt still left, I think, 15 or 20 seconds on the play clock, which they could have drained down, which then the Eagles got the ball and went down the field and kick a field goal, which that essentially is the deciding 3 points. If that doesn't happen, who knows what happens? We might be talking about an overtime game or a game where the Eagles might be losing and we might be bawling our eyes out starting 0-1. So, look, it's in the NFL, a win is a win, but there's definitely a lot of things in all 3 phases of this team right now: offensively, defensively, special teams, coaching, whatever it may be. This ain't a perfect football team just yet, and I'm not saying they're ever going to get perfect, but going to the season, you and I and everyone else on this platform and Eagles fans in general, we were gaining that hope. We were gaining those expectations that after this team made the playoffs last year, that they were able to make that next step in the NFL or in the NFC and hopefully make that next step to a potential Super Bowl caliber team, which this team is nowhere near that right now. The fact that the Detroit Lions, and nothing against the Detroit Lions, they're not a great football team. And the fact that we escaped with a 3-point victory after we were up 17, 20 points, whatever it was, and allowed them to claw their way back.
It got scary. It got real scary.
It got real scary, dude.
It got real scary. That fourth quarter, man, that fourth quarter had me sweating.
And red zone efficiency, 4 for 4 in red zone efficiency, the Eagles allowed defensively for the Detroit Lions.
That's not good. It's almost like as soon as they got to the red zone, I felt like, well, there's another score for Detroit. That's how it felt. You know what I mean? So that's not a good stat to have. That which brings me to the ugly. What do you perceive as the ugliest thing of yesterday's game?
Well, the ugly thing is the news that we gathered today is that unfortunately, Eagles defensive end Derek Barnett tore his ACL and he is out for the rest of the season. Which, look, Derek Barnett, he hasn't lived up to the first round hype. He hasn't lived up to the potential that we expect him to be. He was entering a contract here, which this injury possibly could end his Eagles career, because I don't know, after coming off another major injury that's ending his season, that the Eagles are going to be willing to give him even a 1-year contract unless they're absolutely desperate when it comes to the defensive line. If they absolutely need someone in there and someone that's familiar with the defense and they're able to get him for a veteran minimum, they might. That's something that we'll discuss through next offseason. But I'll say it hurts. Because, look, this is the strength of our defense. He was a guy that he might not have been a starter, but he was a guy that we were hoping that would finally contribute to this defense and to this rotation. And now the Eagles are down another guy. The fact that we only have 3 defensive ends currently on the roster, you have Josh Sweat, who got paid, but he's a guy that has shown that he can't be a 3-down defensive end. Nope. You have Brandon Graham, who's coming off, he's in his 13th, 14th year as in the league, coming off another major injury last year. I felt they were easing him back into the defensive fold yesterday. That he might need to be called upon. The fact that they only gave him, I think, 35 or 40% of the snaps. Now that they're down a man, they might be asking for more.
It might be too much.
Then you have Tyron Jackson. So, look, they're thin at the defensive end position. You have Hassan Reddick, who you brought in here to be a pass rushing specialist and a guy that can get after the quarterback. And the fact that Jonathan Gannon, I understand they have him as a linebacker, that hybrid role, but the fact that you're having this dude out in coverage, you're not paying him, Grant, I'm going to sound like Fletcher Cox here. You're not paying him to stand back in coverage. This is a guy that had the 5th most sacks over
fuck me. He's a guy that has had the 5th most sacks in the NFL over the last 2 seasons. And you're going to allow him to sit back in coverage because your secondary and your linebacking core is too much of liability in coverage?
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
Have him play to his strengths. That is the one thing that I am getting sick and tired of when it comes to our coaching staff year after year, is we are not playing to our players' strengths. They are playing to schemes, which it's just mind-boggling. If this guy is one of the most dominant pass rushers in the NFL over the last 2 seasons, why aren't we using him more as a pass rusher? Why aren't we disguising more different blitz packages? I want to see. I'm hoping going forward this coming week, I'm hoping we see more of that, because we cannot allow the quarterback to stay in the pocket as comfortably as they did yesterday.
Agreed.
And win football games, especially against some of the better teams.
Agreed. And Sirianni addressed that in the locker room. I don't know if you've seen the victory speech or whatever he had afterwards. He literally said, there's stuff that needs to be cleaned up, and he says starting with coaching. And I think my ugly, although the Derek Barnett is a huge ugly part of the game, I thought the defensive play calling was probably the ugliest that we had yesterday's game. So my ugly goes to Gannon, man. Instead of doing a Hertz alert, we should have done like a Gannon cannon or something, because I was so frustrated the way Reddick was used. I was frustrated on how the defensive line wasn't penetrating the way it's supposed to. There were so many things that I thought coaching was the biggest problem. I thought he's not putting these guys in position to make these plays. So if you're right, if you're not going to use guys for what they're good at, then what are you doing? You can't just plug and play. Sometimes you have to morph your defense with the talent that you have. And Gannon's got no excuses, man. He's got the talent.
And
you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool. I glitched out for a second. But yeah, my ugly coaching. Defensive coaching was putrid.
And look, it's game 1. It's a long road. We still have 16 more games, and the fact that we came out on top, starting the season 1-0.
Hey, we're undefeated, baby.
Especially the way the NFC East panned out yesterday. I would say, look, you look at the rest of the division. No one expected the New York Giants to start off 1-0 for the first time in 5 seasons. The fact that they were able to escape, and Brian Dable, he has some cojones. The fact that he went for 2 instead of going for the tie late in the 4th quarter with 1 minute left to play, and went for the victory and trusted his offense and trusted his team to put the game on their backs and came out on top with the victory. And then, of course, Bullock, they were a little fortunate. Yeah. Randy Bullock did miss the field goal for the game winner at the end of the game. But look,
a win's a win.
And then you look at the Washington Commanders. Is this the rejuvenation of Carson Wentz? Is this the rebirth of Carson Wentz's career after throwing for 4 touchdowns? Granted, it is the Jacksonville Jaguars, Dougie P's first game as head coach with the Jags. But look, this is the same Carson Wentz that could barely throw for 50 yards last year with the Indianapolis Colts. So look, something's going on there in Washington with Ron Rivera and Carson Wentz too. After week 1, they get the victory. And then a fortunate turn of events with the Dallas Cowboys. And we can all start our mourning process for the Dallas Cowboys 2022 season.
Wrap it up.
Unless Cooper Rush is an absolute stud and a superstar and leads them to 4, 5, 6, 8 straight victories.
Yeah.
Their season is squashed. They're the first team to probably get eliminated in week 1 of the NFL season.
The first team to get eliminated right off the bat. Y'all are done. Get out of here.
I say if you missed the news last night or today, you lived under a rock or wherever the fuck it may be. Quarterback Dak Prescott has a broken hand, a broken thumb, whatever it may be. He's going to require surgery, and he will be missing probably between 6 to 8 weeks. So the first matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles is October 16th, Sunday Night Football against the Eagles at the Link. So that is roughly about 4 or 5 weeks away. He will most likely be missing that game. And who knows by that point where the Dallas Cowboys may be. And everyone's talking about them going out and trading for a quarterback, maybe former Eagles Nick Foles, which I do not see happening.
Nah.
The fact that they've won, they love Cooper Rush. They believe in him. They believe he's the guy that could be the backup quarterback when called upon when Dak is out. And they still have some offensive playmakers around them. They still have CeeDee Lamb. They have Zeke. They have Dalton Schultz, and they're going to be getting healthy soon with Michael Gallup. So look, despite the quarterback, they still have a lot of playmakers on that offense. So who knows what could happen?
Yeah,
but it's not very favorable for the Dallas Cowboys to turn this around. The fact that their franchise quarterback that they just gave a crap load of money is going to be out this long, and they're not going to go out and try to get another quarterback, because why would you try to get another veteran quarterback that you're probably have to pay a decent amount of money or this or that after you just gave Dak all that money?
Yeah, at this point, it's Peyton season, baby. Look, they might tank it for Peyton, get that first round pick, and the boys will be back next year. But you're right. Like, what really bothers me about that injury is I really wanted to see the dynamic between the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles for this season. I wanted them at their best, us at our best, to kind of gauge where we're at with the NFC East. And I don't want
shitty Cowboys fans having some type of fucking excuse this season.
Yeah,
to kick their asses.
Mm-hmm.
Because look, I understand the Eagles haven't fared well against the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys had a last couple of years. I'm not going to deny that. But look, this is a new team. We finally had some upgrades. We improved our team. And look, the Dallas Cowboys going into the season, we knew their weaknesses. We knew that their offensive line was going to struggle, and they're down another guy, I believe. They lost some key players on the defensive line and on the defensive side of the football. So look, the Dallas Cowboys, they weren't going to be NFC juggernauts. They weren't going to be unbeatable. They were still going to be a team that I felt were going to contend with the NFC East with us. Now that all might change. Who's the next team that we're going to be competing with? Is it the Commanders with Carson Wentz the yesterday? It's the New York Giants. Who knows? I'll say Saquon Barkley went off yesterday. Is he finally fully recovered from that ACL tear that he had 2 seasons ago? Is Daniel Jones the answer? Is the new coach the guy is he the right guy to run the ship? There's fun answer questions that will be out throughout the season, and it's too early to tell, and that's what makes the NFL so exciting. It's not like the NBA where you kind of know where the absolute best teams are going to be every single year. The NFL, you can go from worst to first in a span of a couple months.
Any given Sunday. Dude,
it's my fucking basement, I swear. You have like mold or asbestos or something that's making me cough up a fucking storm.
You got that radon.
But probably. But look, man, I'll say, look, it's good show so far. Good show tonight. You have any final thoughts? Anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Final thoughts? I'm gonna because we'll be there next year, and I really don't want to jinx it. But I have a good feeling about this team, offensively speaking, and I think defensively they can shore things up. I think it's a lot of miscommunications, knocking the rust off, and hopefully these coaches are going to do what I think they're going to do, and they're going to have this team ready to play next week and conditioned to play next week. So I'm looking forward to a better season as it progresses, because what I seen yesterday, there was a lot of potential and there was a lot to be happy for. So I'm gonna end it on a positive note, saying I'm digging this team and I'm digging the direction that they're going.
and I agree with you. And we all have to remember, the NFL season, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Just because after week 1, just because we're 1-0, we might lose the next 15, 16 straight games. We don't know what's going to happen. We could lose Jalen Hurts to an injury. We could be in the Dallas Cowboys predicament, but it's going to be exciting.
That would be horrible.
The fact that the NFL season's back, it's great. I'll say it's the best time of the year. Fall season hits, you start having football, and look, it stresses you out, but you get enjoyment out of it, whether it's good or bad. I'll say the NFL season's always a fun one to watch. So I'll say let's let it play out before we jump off a bridge or overreaction Monday or criticize Monday or whatever you want to call it. The NFL, we still have enjoy the win. We still have 17 more weeks to enjoy this ride and then see who comes out on top at the end of the season. So I'll say let me just pay some bills before we get out of here real quick, let's thank our friends at Stuff to the Grills in Allentown. You can find them off the Iroquois Trail in the Old Town Shopping Center in Allentown. You can give them a call at 484-274-6760 or visit them at stufftothegrills.com for a full menu and specials, and they are available for catering events. So again, make sure to hit them up and tell them the Birds, Beers, and BS and the AT Sports Network crew sent you on over. I'd like to also thank our friends at Vinny's Pizza and Restaurant in Allentown. They are available for takeout or delivery at 610-395-2300 or vinnyspizzapa.com. They have an abundance of game day and daily specials for you. Football season's here, so if you need some grub for the games, for your family, whatever it may be, make sure to hit up Vinny's Pizza and Restaurant. Again, tell them the Birds, Beers, and BS and the AT Sports Network crew sent you on over. So, let me get rid of that. A lot of pushing, a lot of bullshit. I would say Jacob E. Montoliva saying, "What up, boys?" Hey, Jacob, thank you for tuning in the program. I'll say the show's about to end, but if you missed it, if you missed today's show or any one of our shows, make sure you are following, liking, subscribing all our social media platforms, from our YouTube, our Facebook, our Instagram, to our Twitter, for all the latest information and details in regarding the Philadelphia Eagles and more on on our network and all our shows. So again, make sure you're doing all of that. Is that you?
That's me. Yo.
Okay. I didn't know if you had another dude named Peanut commenting or something. So
because I got that wig and that mustache. Which,
well, no,
by the way, I'm gonna be wearing this year.
A little programming note. Again, we will be doing our show Thursday. We'll be talking to the gentleman at the Vikings Uncensored podcast as we dive into Monday's matchup between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Minnesota Vikings. Hopefully, discussing and about an Eagles victory next week. We'll do the day after show. We'll figure out maybe Tuesday. We'll both be at the game Monday night. So it depends how we're feeling. Depends on what happens in the game. Maybe we'll do it Wednesday or we'll figure things out. But again, for the latest updates on that, make sure to follow in the AT Sports Network social media platforms.
Yeah, buddy.
So, again, we'll be back Thursday evening with our interview with the Viking Censor podcast. And I am your host, Eagle Jeff Warner. You can follow me on Twitter at Jeff Warner NFL. And you can also follow Peanut at Party Doll Dave 1 on Twitter, even though he doesn't fucking tweet. But, hey, he has a Twitter. So give him some fucking followers.
Yeah. Give me some followers. Maybe if someone followed, I'd say something.
But, yeah. Sure, maybe. But again, thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. Birds, Beers, and BS, the day after reaction show, as the Philadelphia Eagles do end up on top, edging the Detroit Lions 38-35 to start the season 1-0. They will be facing off, hosting the Minnesota Vikings next Monday night on Monday Night Football at the Lincoln Financial Field. So, again, as we end every show here on Birds, Beers, and BS, drink him if you got him. Even though he's not drinking them.
Eating them W's. Eating them W's.